So I want to talk about the real issue when it comes to astrology, psychic readings, and talking to the dead, because I've done all of these and God convicted me of them, and he told me why, right? Because I didn't understand why, and the reason why I didn't understand why it was a problem was because, yes, I seen that it was a sin in the Bible, but I believe that if something has truth to it, why would it be wrong, right? If it's true, how is it wrong if it's true? And you know what God said every time that I said that? He said, when have I ever told you to receive information of half the truth? When have I ever told you to listen to somewhat of the truth? I would never tell you to listen to something that says somewhat of what's true about you. I encourage you to listen to me, which is the full truth, right? Jesus is the truth. He's not somewhat the truth. He's not half the truth. He is the full truth, right? And I would specifically, when it came to zodiacs, I was in love with zodiacs. That was the one thing that, like, the one sin that I was consciously doing that God told me not to do anymore, right? The last sin, obviously we sin every day, but that was the last conscious sin that I knew that I was doing that he told me not to do. And I would say, God, there's truth in it. Like they say, my zodiac is a Pisces, right? They say that Pisces are intuitive, they're introverts, they're very nonchalant, they're very sensitive, emotional. And the problem with that is, for one, half of the world is introverts. Half of the world is intuitive, half of the world is emotional, half of the world is nonchalant. So you're telling me just because this zodiac says it, that's what I am? No, the same person that it could be an Aquarius can be that same type of person, can be an introvert, can be emotional. Just because you say this is what my zodiac is and there's some truth to it doesn't mean that's who I am, because there's some parts of that zodiac that I don't identify with. There's some parts of that zodiac of Pisces that they say Pisces are manipulators, Pisces are liars, they're narcissists. Although I have a past of lying, which most people have a past of lying, that doesn't make me that part. So you're telling me I could just pinpoint parts of that and be like, okay, I'll take this part of the Pisces, take this part of the Pisces. That part of the Pisces, I don't identify with that. God would never tell you to take parts of him, but don't identify with other parts of him. He would never say that. You will identify with all of him. You will be just like Jesus, right? You will be in likeness of him. You are made in God's image. You're not made in somewhat of God's image, a partial of God's image. You're made exactly in his image. And the other issue with zodiacs is it's not just 12 zodiacs. It's not just that and that's it. No, they have, I believe my moon was in Leo. I had a sun in Aries. And also you have a first house in a certain sign. You have a second house in a sign. You have a third house, all the way, I believe, up to 12. Not only that, you have a sign in all the planets. So you have a sign in Neptune. You have a sign in Jupiter. You have a sign in Pluto. You have all these signs within all these planets, within all these within the sun, the moon. So people will say like, hey, do you have any placements in Cancer or Libra or Leo by any chance? Because you act like a Cancer, a Leo, and a Libra. You want to know why I would act like a Cancer, a Leo, and a Libra? Because we are all human beings that have the same type of experiences. We have similar experiences as human beings, right? We're living in the same world. It's likely that we're going to act alike. So if somebody comes up to me and they say, I have a feeling that I know your zodiac. What's your zodiac? I can simply lie and be like, I'm an Aquarius. And they would be like, I knew it, because Aquariuses, they tend to give off this vibe that they're very like nonchalant, that they don't care. And you just seem that way, right? And I'd be like, oh, I'm just lying. I'm actually a Libra. And they'd be like, I knew it. I knew you were a Libra, because Libras tend to lie. They have trust issues. They don't tell the full truth at first. Do you know how easy it is to try to just guess somebody by what you believe at that moment? It is so easy to lie and say I'm a Pisces and you're not actually a Pisces, and somebody will say I knew you were a Pisces because you act this way. You want to know why we act that way? Because we're alike. We are alike. We are all in the body of Christ. We are made in God's image initially. We act alike. We had similar experiences. It is half the truth. You should not be listening to half the truth. And also when it came to talking to the dead, I used to think I was talking to dead ancestors, right? The problem with that is it's possible to summon the dead, right? It's possible to try to speak to dead spirits, right? Even in the Bible, it talks about, I believe, Samuel, they try to summon him. The problem with that is that God tells us not to do it. And it's not full truth, right? It's not full truth that you're talking to that dead ancestor. Yes, it's possible to summon the dead, but you're not always summoning what you believe is that dead ancestor. It's something else, right? So in the Bible, when they were summoning, like I said, I believe it's Samuel, correct me if I'm wrong. They went to a medium to do that. God specifically tells us not to be in mediumship, not to go to mediums. So if you're summoning the dead, you are a medium, right? You're not supposed to do that. It's half the truth. And it's the same way. I want to make this very clear. Listen to this. It is the same way that the devil deceives so many people, starting in the beginning. You want to know how he deceived Eve? He told half a truth, right? He said, you shall not surely die. Not God knows that if you eat from this tree, you shall be like him, and you will know the knowledge of good and evil. You want to know the other half of that truth? For one, God said not to eat from this tree because you will know the knowledge of good and evil. He didn't want them to know the knowledge of good and evil. He didn't want them to know that they were naked. He didn't want them to know that their body can be looked at as lustful. He didn't want them to know that. That's the one half of that truth. And also, they didn't have to go to the tree to know the knowledge of good and evil. They could have went to the person that made the tree. So they created an idol by worshiping this tree that would give them the knowledge of good and evil. The devil told her half a truth. That is the same way that he deceives you so many times. And I talked about this in a previous video. The devil will say something such as, you're not deserving of love from God, which is partially true. Without Jesus, we're not deserving. But with Jesus, we are graced to be deserving of God's love. It's the same way that he tried to deceive Jesus in the wilderness when he was fasting. You know what he said? If you're really the Son of God, turn this stone into bread, which is possible for Jesus to turn this stone into bread. You want to know why? Because he's God in the flesh. But the other half of that truth is that what he said, man shall not live on bread alone, but by every word that comes out of the mouth of God, right? That's the other half of that truth. Also, he tried to deceive him by, what else did he do? He said, if you throw yourself off of this cliff, if you throw yourself off this mountain, your angels will, they will be there to catch you, right? You can tell your angels there to catch you, which is true. Jesus can for sure throw himself off of a mountain and say, hey angels, catch me. But the other half of that truth, you shall not test the Lord your God. That's what he said back to the devil. It's the same way. If y'all don't think that we are living just like Bible times, just in modern day life, you need to pay attention. It's the same way he will tell you half a truth. Oh, your zodiac is in Pisces, so you're this. And then you see the other half is like, I don't really identify with that. I promise you, if you look up every characteristic of every sign, there is some point in your life to where you identify with that characteristic. If they say a Libra tends to be liars, or they tend to be manipulators, I'm pretty sure in your life there was some point to where you lied. And you'd be like, dang, am I actually a liar? Because it says that my zodiac is a liar, and I do lie. Most people have lied in their life. Everybody has told a lie. Just because it says that doesn't mean it's true. And last one I want to talk about is psychic readings. I used to do them, and I also used to go to them. And I want to talk about the psychic reading that I went to when I was actually in Miami. The last time I went to Miami, I did a psychic reading. And I went to the psychic reader, and she told half the truth, right? She got some of my past, right? She told some of my past that was true, to where I transitioned. I was homosexual, to where I got out of that, right? She predicted that, right? But she also said? She said, you are in a relationship. This long-term relationship is going to be a long-term relationship. Don't leave the relationship. You know why that was wrong? Because previous to getting that reading, God told me this is not the right relationship to be in. He told me you should not be in this relationship. Before I even got into that relationship, God told me you should not get into this relationship. So this psychic reader, she told me half a truth of my past, and I'm like, okay, listen to that. But the other side of that was a lie, to where she told me I should be in this long-term relationship. Don't let it go, right? There's some troubles in it. There's ups and downs, but don't let it go. When God was telling me the complete opposite, he was telling me to let it go. You see how it's half a truth? This is why it's important not to listen to psychic readers, because they can tell you some of your life story. They can tell you some truth, but the other side of that is a lie. God doesn't tell you half the truth. He would never tell you, I want you to identify with some of me. He would tell you, I want you to identify with all of me. Your full identity is in me. It's not some of me. So I don't know who needs to hear that. They probably don't understand the actual issue with zodiacs and all that. But it's the fact that it's half the truth, and God would never encourage you to listen to half.